Welcome to the Pindown, your Detroit Pistons podcast. I'm your host, Wes Davenport from Motor City Hoops and Detroit Bad Boys.
And I'm Blake Silverman, writer for Detroit Bad Boys, covering everything from the Pistons to the NBA draft and the Motor City Cruise.
And Blake, before we even get going today, I just want to say happy Labor Day. We're making it through the summer here, so it's exciting. I know it means the summer's almost over, but it's less fun outside. But I don't know, it's a great long weekend. I'm excited. How about you?
Yeah. Happy Labor Day. Excited for the long weekend. I feel like summer hits a little bit different ever since I entered the workforce. It's almost like every week is the same, but especially when we're up here in Michigan and the weather is so drastically different, you got to appreciate it, and always nice to get a long weekend in there. So I'm excited.
This is very off topic, but it was something I noticed right after graduating college, actually, was that your whole life you get used to having these blocks of time and having very definitive markers for when that block of time passed, right? So, you'd have your first semester, you'd have a winter break, you'd come back, you'd have the spring semester, then you'd have the summer break, and it just keeps rolling like that with little mini breaks in between to kind of break it all up, obviously. And now when we're adults, it just goes, man. There's no stopping unless you're taking a vacation for yourself. And I think that's why it just flies by so much faster.
Yeah, there's no stopping, and my wife's a teacher, so she still has
Oh,
those
she gets
breaks
it.
like
Nice.
built
Yeah.
in, but I work from home whenever she has like midwinter break, spring break, whatever it is, and she's just at home or whatever it is. I always get jealous. I miss that schedule a bit.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, it's nice to just have a marker of time to kind of make you slow down. Because I think now you can lose it a little bit. I know for me, 4 months go by and I'm like, what just happened? Even right now, it's about to be September. How did that happen? And I'm sure more people can relate to this as well, but it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, that previous structure gives you something to look forward to and everything. But yeah, I guess like the summer sort of aligns with the break for the NBA. So I mean, we still
A
have
little bit, yeah.
draft and summer. I mean, the NBA I feel like is maybe the most year-round league it could be. But once we hit August, like there's just not much going on. And thankfully this is our last August episode, so when we're back recording, we'll already be to September. The season's back in October. We'll get excited for training camp, preseason, and then the season will be here before we know it, which is exciting.
Now, before we get going any further, we just didn't get a ton of questions this week, guys. Obviously, we'll be watching the live chat. So, Derek Brown says, love the show, guys. Appreciate all the hard
Thanks,
work you
Derek.
guys do. Yeah, we appreciate it, man. If we get a bunch of questions in the live chat, we'll obviously handle those. But as it stands right now, we'll probably just aim for about 40 minutes, keep this episode a little bit shorter for you all, and kind of let you go out on your holiday weekend. So let's dive into some hot takes. I kind of previewed this on Twitter, but I sprung it on Blake here, the stipulation that goes into it. So we're each going to give two hot takes. And yes, I did steal this from myself from the Pistons Pulse, but it was fun. We had a lot of fun with it over there. So I thought, what the heck? It's the end of August. Nothing else is happening. Let's have some fun with it here on the Pindown as well. So we're both going to give off two hot takes. Okay. One of them is Pistons related. The other one can't be. It's got to be something else. Just a general hot take that you've got up your sleeve, ready to throw at a moment's notice. So we'll do the Pistons one first, and I'll let you jump in on that because I know you prepped one for it, and I did too. But then I'll go first for the second because I surprised you.
Okay, a little snake draft action. I like it. So for my Pistons hot take, and I might be cheating a bit here because I actually submitted this one for the Pistons Pulse, and you touched on it a little bit. But I think, and since it's hot takes, I'll just be more affirmative with it. I think the Pistons will have a decent season, and by decent I mean they're still going to be like at the bottom of the league. So I don't know if you can classify that as decent, but I don't think they're going to finish with the worst record. I think they'll be somewhere in the bottom, let's say 5 to 6. But I think that they'll win the draft lottery and get the number one pick, as we've seen the past couple of years with the Pistons, the team with the lowest odds. Like, it doesn't work out for them in most cases. You only get a 14% shot. We saw the Atlanta Hawks win the lottery this past year. So I think there's a strong possibility the Pistons improve. But even with that improvement, it could pay off with some lottery luck. There hasn't been a ton of lottery luck in the past, but it can happen. We saw it in the Cade Cunningham year. So I'm going to plant my flag there.
Well, it's funny that you say that that wouldn't be a lot of lottery luck because I know how it feels for all of us fans, right? The Pistons have been bad every year since winning the lottery for Cade. But if you actually were to look at it, winning a lottery twice in a 5 year span, that would be pretty dang lucky.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think Cleveland won it. I don't remember
Hmm.
if it was a couple years in a row. And then
They might have gotten
Minnesota.
three in 6 years or something like that because they had Kyrie,
Yeah.
Anthony Bennett, and Andrew Wiggins, who never
Wiggins.
played for them, but they traded.
Yeah, and then there was however many years apart there are between Carl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. Like,
Hmm.
Minnesota is the only other one I can think of, and that's worked out pretty well from them, as we saw in the Western Conference Finals run this year. And then they have one of the like future faces of the league on their team. So you never know. It's a long haul and it can pay off. And really, it's just a game of chance. So why not Detroit next year?
Two questions I want to ask you before I give mine. You say that we're going to be, the Pistons will be better. So, how do they accomplish that not worst in the league, but maybe 12th in the East finish? Is that, on the back of Cade Cunningham in your mind or someone else that's going to really step up?
I mean, I think Cade has to be in the driver's seat, but I think, like we've talked about a bunch here, I think we have to see some growth from some of the other young guys and really just understanding who they are. Like, if one of Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson can take a leap that results in 2 to 3 more wins or whatever it is this season, like, that can help you get there. But I think it's going to start and end with Cade. But that said, you have some interesting players that you sign this offseason. I mean, hey, if Ron Holland comes out firing and he eventually carves out a bigger role for himself than we think he's going to have, especially towards the end of the season, you don't know what you're going to have there. So, yeah, I think it mostly falls back on Cade, but it obviously has to be a group effort of some sorts.
And all right, Mr. Draft Man, who are they taking? Is it and there's a lot of talk Cooper Flag's like the runaway, but is he? I mean, it seems like there are three or four guys that are in the conversation. So who are they taking?
I think it's Cooper Flag. I mean, I'm really excited to watch him at Duke this year. He's probably the most hyped college basketball prospect since Zion. I mean, I don't think Ant was as hyped. Like, there was Ant was in a group where he could have not went one. Like, Zion was the runaway number one. So I think it's Cooper Flag, but excuse me, Ace Bailey would be a good fit with the Pistons, and I've watched some of his high school games and everything like that, and he seems exciting. Haven't I need to watch more of Dylan Harper, but from what I've seen and read and everything, I don't think he'd be as good a fit in Detroit, just because, like, you already have Cade, he's more of an on-ball guy. So I think if you win the lottery, it's like you take Cooper Flag and then you run away with it. Like, after with everything he does offensively, he's also like one of the best defensive prospects. So that would answer a lot of questions for the Pistons as well. So I think you keep it easy, but we have a full season in front of us. Things can change. I feel like he's the runaway, but I've heard some people say, like, there are some other names that could maybe get in there depending on how the season goes. So you never know.
I think it would be a super interesting situation. Something that was kind of mentioned on the Pistons Pulse, I think Bryce mentioned this, was that, if the Pistons are picking at the top of the lottery again, probably means that the team was really bad and you don't really have to worry about fit. But in your situation, in this hot take, they would have jumped up maybe 6 spots, 7 spots, something large, big time jump to move into that position to take someone number one. And I think at that point, that means that it was a positive step forward season, right? They didn't just plateau. That means that at least a few of these young guys really flashed their potential, really improved. And so maybe it's not crazy to be thinking about fit at that point. If Cooper Flag is the best possible fit and the best prospect, then that's perfect. But yeah, I think there's some leeway there that I hadn't previously considered just by being slightly better as a team next season and then jumping the lottery instead of just say winning the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you don't have that many more opportunities to pick in the top 5, but I think when you do have those opportunities, you definitely want to take the best talent that's out there. And I just think the Pistons, if they are so lucky to get the first or even the second pick, they'd be pretty lucky to get a piece that fits pretty well in Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey, or if there's someone that has like a Brandon Miller type breakout that we're not even talking about that much right now. You never know. But that it lets you, and if you add a high end piece like that you think will be Cade's running mate, a trio with Ron Holland, whatever it is, it gives you more leeway to maybe move on from a couple of your other pieces and do a consolidation trade, bring someone else in, because you obviously can't pay everyone. So you have to think about that. But I think, I mean, if the Pistons won the lottery this year, we think Alex Sarr would have been a good fit because of what they need. But you could debate that he's not if you believe in Jalen Duren. So I think if they do end up with a top 5 pick, they'll luckily have plenty of guys to choose from that can fit in pretty seamlessly.
All right, here's my hot take. I'm just going to throw it out there. I want to get your reaction and a little peek behind the curtains, guys. Blake and I have very briefly talked about this before, but it was maybe a month ago now, so I don't even know if you remember it. Here's my hot take. Jaden Ivey's going to score 20 points per game, if not a little bit more. That's my hot take. I'm big time believer into what he's going to bring in this offense. I'm a big time believer in if you use him the right way, which it sounds like JB Bickerstaff will do, that he could really excel as a scorer, as an offensive talent. So my hot take is that he's going to average more than 20 points a night. He's going to take that second scoring option right out of Tobias Harris's hands, and the team's going to be a little bit better off for it.
Yeah, we did talk about that a while ago. I remember it. I was still debating with myself whether Jaden Ivey is going to start. I mean, I think he is, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised if Malik Beasley or I don't. I mean, who could be the other one, like Asar? But you don't want to play
I guess
Asar
Tim
next.
Hardaway Jr. Like if
Yeah,
you really
but
want to stretch, right?
yeah, but I don't even know how realistic that is. So, I mean, I think Ivy will start, and what we've been talking about, if how we want them to use him, is stagger him with the second unit, and that just gives him some on-ball opportunities, more scoring chances to go and get his bucket. And the other thing is, like, we've talked for the past year, really since the Pistons have drafted Cade Cunningham, how he needs spacers around him to unlock his game and just put him in the best situation. I think it also helps Jaden Ivey because you're not playing next to a couple non-shooters like Asar and Duren. Hopefully, like those lineups could definitely still happen if JB Bickerstaff chooses to go that way. But you brought in some guys who can shoot the ball and provide space for Ivy, which opens up driving lanes and everything like that for him. So I think he'll have more scoring chances. Just for numbers' sake, he averaged 16.3 points his rookie year and then went a bit down to 15.4 last year. We know he obviously didn't start the beginning of the season, which might have had a little impact on that. But I mean, I think it's possible too. It's definitely a big leap, but if we see Jaden Ivey get put in the right situation, who knows how much he could take that step this year.
He's just so talented of a downhill player. And as far as I've heard anyway, the only comments that JV Bickerstaff really talks about are downhill type things for Jaden Ivey. You know, getting him the ball out in
Mhm.
transition and letting him loose, getting him off motion or on handoffs right in the half court setting. If you could just he's already so talented, he's already so quick, and his handle's pretty good. If you can just make it even that much easier to get downhill and increase the volume, I think it's all right there for him. I mean, that is how he was used at Purdue. If you go back and watch that tape, it was almost comparable to how the Sixers used to use Allen Iverson. I mean, yes, everything went through Jaden Ivey, and I'm not saying that the Pistons are going to do that, nor should they do that. Everything should go through Cade Cunningham. But just in terms of the types of shots he was getting and the settings he was getting them out of, it was very orchestrated for him to be in an advantageous spot to then break down his defender in front of him and make decisions out of that. And if we can start seeing that with the Pistons next year, I really think it's going to take off. I think it's right there. I don't know, 20 points is a hot take, but I think he's
It,
going to take
it's
off.
it's a hot take, but it's not like in another universe or anything like that. Like he's already averaged 15 points a game and has been at least that his only 2 seasons in the league. And I think we could possibly see more plays drawn up for Jaden Ivey. We know how much attention Cade gets on the other team's game plan. So if you're looking to get someone else going, like Ivy might be the first person that you go to there. So you never know. It's definitely a big leap, but year three, it could definitely be a good time for him to take that step if he's going to do it.
All right, we'll go into the non basketball one here. How? Let me just ask you this before I even throw it out there. Did you like follow the whole Chat GPT AI fear thing from probably late in the spring?
Uh, I want to say no because it's not like I'm not immediately like yes. So I might need you to explain a little bit
Fair enough.
more.
Well, around that time, you had a couple of tech leaders testifying before Congress saying, we need more regulation on us so that we can protect ourselves, protect the world from us ruining it. And ChatGPT was just introduced, so there was a lot of excitement on this generative AI thing. My hot take is that our AI overlords, they're way, way off. We're not even close. I'm not worried about it at all. I think ChatGPT is great, but it is not generative AI like you see in a Terminator movie. I'm just not worried about it. It's going to take a while. Then their next jump, right? If they're going to take another jump from this into a 4.0, I think they're on 3 point something. So if they jump to a 4.0 and truly improve it, I think that will take more time even than the smaller improvements they've made to 3. Like, I think 4.0 is a ways away. So I'm steering clear. I'm fine. I'm not worried at all.
Okay, okay. I can
This would have
I
been
can
really
get.
hot back in the spring, but it came to mind. So you know what? I was like, screw it. That's my hot take. That and
Well,
strawberries are disgusting.
I do. Strawberries are disgusting. Okay, I can't get with you on that one. I do enjoy strawberries, but yeah, with AI, like I work my day job in the advertising industry, so we've had those conversations, and everything I've seen, like AI can be a tool, but at the same time, it's not going to replace what humans can do or like the human thought process. I
Yeah,
actually
it can't.
we're not talking about the Pistons right now, but I had something with AI like tied into the Pistons for me recently, like within the past couple weeks. I think it was when the schedule released because the Pistons are playing the Pacers on opening night, and there was an AI article that said how the Pistons let James Wiseman walk, and he's with the Indiana
Oh
Pacers now. It
God.
was like the Pistons made a questionable decision, and James Wiseman will make them pay for it or whatever it is. And it was so
Bold. Talk
clearly
about hot takes.
it was so clearly computer generated. I sent it. I'm in like a dynasty fantasy basketball league, and I sent it in that group chat, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm totally not worried about AI strictly because of this."
Oh, that is spot on. Yes, I love it. I love it. All right. What do you got? What do you got for me?
Okay, I thought of this one because Wes's wife Jill brought him a coffee before. Shout out Jill. Is that a cold latte or a hot latte?
Hot latte.
Okay. My hot take is, and I don't know how hot this is because I feel like you're on one side or the other. I'll choose to drink cold coffee no matter what day of the year it is. Like
No.
even if it's negative 20 or whatever it is. I like hot coffee. It's just like I don't know. I'll go for cold coffee. There's nothing worse to me than when you have a hot coffee and it gets kind of lukewarm.
Yeah,
Like
you got to
that
drink it fast. Yeah.
yeah, that's just like disgusting to me. And when if I have a cold brew or whatever it is, I can have it for whenever I get distracted or into something and I don't drink the coffee as fast as I want and then it's still there good for me. So I'm a cold coffee guy over hot if I had to choose.
This is so wrong. This actually disturbs me a little bit. But you're telling me you go to Starbucks and you just ask for a cup of ice? Because
No,
that's
no,
what
I
you
get
get.
uh, hey, it's they have the cup set up so the ice is like built into the drink. Like you know how much coffee you're getting.
I just want the
I'll
big cup. Just give me the big cup of coffee.
yeah, I can respect that because I actually saw someone on Twitter. They posted that I think they ordered it might have been an iced tea or coffee or something without ice, and Starbucks still
They
filled it
wouldn't
like
fill it. Yeah,
yeah, like two
I've done
thirds of
it.
the way. Yeah, so I get that criticism of it, but I'll still go for it. The only downfall of it is if you're walking into a coffee shop in the dead of winter and you got to remember gloves because if you're walking out with a cold coffee in your hand in cold winter, that's horrible. But that's the only downside for me.
My day has to start off with a hot cup of coffee, splash of milk, nothing more, nothing fancy. I've got a
Okay.
special mug actually with a heater in the bottom of it that
Oh, one of
keeps
those
the
fancy
coffee
ones. Yeah.
warmer longer, so I can sip it slow and really enjoy. I My wife loves the cold brew. She'll make herself shaken espressos at home. We got a little
Yeah.
Nespresso thing, and I don't like it as much. I like the hot beverage.
Maybe I'll need to get one of the heated mugs, and that would help with my issues. But no, the one thing I will give hot coffee is like obviously like the smell of coffee in the morning. You don't get that
Yeah.
if you're getting a cold brew, and that wakes you up a little bit more. So I'll give you that one.
All right. Well, we'll just have to leave it there that you're clearly wrong about the cold brew.
Hey, to each their own.
No, I've got the smell on my side. I've got the longer mug. I mean, I don't get ice in the cup. This is clearly hot coffee for the win.
You've put yourself in the right situation that I probably haven't done yet, but hey, I'm good with my routine, so
Oh
maybe
man.
I'll try it and maybe I'll like something different, but I don't feel myself changing anytime soon.
All right, let's get back to actually your hot take. This is from a fella in the TVV comments. He just wants to know what is more valuable, having one of the young guys currently on the roster meet their full potential or a top three draft pick this year.
I think it depends on which of the young guys it is. I I mean a top 3 pick is valuable, no doubt,
Real quick,
and
let's say it's Cade, Ivy, Duran, Asar, Holland is the trio. So no Stewart, no Sasser, just like the five featured guys.
Yeah, but I guess I'd argue that Ron Holland meeting his potential is more valuable than like Jaden Ivey or Jalen Duren right now, which is what like I don't know. That's why I second guess it. But so I think if one of those guys that you're still unsure about, I guess you're unsure a little about all of them to a degree, but Ron Holland, for example, we know what he's done in the G League, like a little bit before that. All we have right now to go off pretty much is his potential. So I think if he reaches his ceiling, and some people believe it could be incredibly high, I think that is probably more valuable than getting the third pick in the draft this year when maybe the best prospect on the board is Dylan Harper and you don't want to draft another lead guard. I've seen some people compare Dylan Harper to Cade Cunningham. So I think the immediate focus has to be on the guys that are in the building. Like you have to work to develop them. You don't know what you have with most of them to a degree. You know what some of them are, but they all have things to improve on. So I think if one of those improvement areas really hits, I think that gives you something to build off of as opposed to betting on that again for another guy. I think it's totally different if it's you're getting Cooper Flag at number 1 or whoever the pick is at number 3. Um, but I think I would have to go with having one of the young guys reach their full potential right now.
I completely agree with you. When I read this, I was it's kind of a bird in the hand sort of situation. There's a very
Yeah.
funny clip. I think it's from Family Guy. I don't know. It's one of those adult cartoons. I can't really remember exactly which one it is. To be quite honest, I don't really watch them, but I've seen this clip and it's really funny where they go in, they've won a prize, and the prize is a boat, or they could choose this mystery box. But the catch is that you don't know what's in the box until you choose it, right? And if you choose the box, you forego the boat. The company gets to keep the boat. And so they're having the argument, and the wife just wants to take the boat, and the guy's like, "No, the box. It could be anything. It could even be a boat." And
Mm.
that's kind of this to me, right? Like even Asar Thompson, who has super high defensive upside, but maybe not as much superstar offensive upside, even if it's him, if he's the one of the five that truly reaches their top level outcome, their highest possible potential outcome, that is, it's in my hand. I have it. I know I have an all-star caliber player, and I know what I need to do to build around that versus taking just an entire swing again, even if it's Cooper Flag. Because you know what? A lot of people thought Zion Williamson was a sure thing home run pick, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries. Greg Oden, all the way back, was the same way. People loved Greg Oden, and then he gets hurt. A lot of this, you can't tell the future. You don't know how it's going to go out. So, I mean, Cooper Flag might even be a bust. Who knows? It might just not click for him in the NBA. I'm not saying that that's definitely going to happen, but it's on the table versus I absolutely have a star player. So I'm taking that. Like, give me one of these young guys fully meeting their potential, even if we make sure that it's not Cade. Like, we just assume Cade's going to get close to his potential. I'd take any of those four guys truly becoming all-star caliber players for certain over a swing at one of these top three guys, just because of the
Yeah.
certainty of it.
Either end of this is a gamble to some degree. So I think it just goes back to how much you do want to gamble. And I think betting on one of the younger players that are currently on the roster is a little bit less of a gamble just because they're all going to have 1, 2, 3 years of NBA play under their belt. So, and also it's getting to the point like Cade's entering year 4 when if a top 3 pick is drafted, he'll be entering year 5. So you want someone to align as close to Cade and just have that like work alongside him under their belt a little bit more. So I think one of the young players that are currently on the team is a little bit less of a gamble, which I lean towards, but I could be totally fine if someone said, you know what, this is a really good draft. No matter where we pick in the top three, we'll get a great player that has tremendous upside. It's just a little bit more of a riskier bet to me.
So before we move on, let me ask you, because the way I'm reading this question, and maybe I'm wrong, is that which is more valuable, guaranteeing that one of those young guys will meet their potential? Like, we aren't gambling on it. We know
Yeah.
for certain that they are going to meet the potential, or taking a swing on one of these top three super highly touted, super hyped prospects in this year's draft. Does that setup kind of change the way you're thinking about it, or am I looking at it the wrong way too, where maybe I need to be bringing in a little bit more risk to one side that I'm not?
No, that's how I read it too. Like I think if it was framed as one of these the young players like continue to develop, you have them at least on the roster, but like to me the question was what if Jaden Ivey or Ron Holland or even Asar for that matter becomes a true second star next to Cade, or do you want like that top three pick to bet on someone else to do that? So I'd just rather one of the young guys turn into that second star because the Pistons have been collecting these high draft picks the past few years now, and we're waiting to see what all of them become. So if one of them truly hits, like I think that could be a game changer for this team more than potentially anything else.
No, I agree. All right, let's get to this one. This will, unless we get a live comment here, this will probably be our last question of the day. So, uh, John Schumann, hopefully I said that right, of NBA.com released his latest power rankings for the Eastern Conference. The Pistons are at number 11. So here's 9 through 15. You got the Hawks at 9, the Raptors at 10, Pistons at 11, Bulls at 12, Hornets at 13, Nets at 14, Wizards at 15. This is from Revkin. So just wanting to know our thoughts on that. And I mean, honestly, of this group, would you have the Pistons third? Who would you have any of them jumping the team, or maybe them even moving up? Because as it stands right there, I mean, that looks like we're looking at the Pistons being just outside of the play-in because I think 10 goes right. 10 goes to the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's realistic, but I don't know if this is how I would do it. I honestly, I would be more comfortable if the Pistons were at 12 and maybe one of the Bulls or the Hornets jumped them. I mean, I think the more likely one is the Hornets. If LaMelo's healthy, you have year two of Brandon Miller, and you have a new coach and everything. And if that works out, I could see them not being good, but being like they were a few years ago when they were just under 500, and then everything sort of hit the fan, and they've had a couple years of LaMelo fighting injuries and everything like that. But yeah, the Nets and the Wizards, I think, are clearly in the Cooper Flag competition, and but like we saw the Nets pretty much press reset by trading Michael Bridges and everything. Not like he's a star to build around or anything like that, but the biggest asset that they had, they and their draft picks were all over the place, so they could really use a year of a top pick. And I think the Wizards are in a similar situation as well. It, the Bulls and the Hornets and even the Raptors, for that matter, are so up in the air to me. Like they could be better than we think, or one, two, or all of them could take a step back, and the Pistons could really compete with them and be in that playoff conversation. I just, I just don't know, I guess. So my most realistic answer is that the Pistons will probably be hopefully better than one of those teams, but I can't at this stage when we haven't seen this new roster and new coach and new front office regime hit the court. I can't say that they're immediately in the play in conversation and right outside of that. And like better than some of these other teams that might be in a similar spot to them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Oddly enough, this might be a case of the national media being too high on the Pistons without having any games played, at least in my opinion. I mean, the trick here is what do teams like the Wizards and the Hornets want to do? Because if you look at the Wizards roster, I know it's not great,
They have
but
interesting players and interesting
yeah,
draft picks they just made.
you got Malcolm Brogdon. They got, they drafted Saren Carrington. Bilal Coulibaly still
You
looks
still
really
have Kuzma.
interesting. Kuzma, Corey Kispert, Jonas Valanciunas too, to kind of be an anchor there in the middle. There are enough veterans on that team for them to not be awful, not be the
Mhm.
absolute worst team in the league. And again,
I
I mean,
think,
Jordan Poole's still kicking around there. He might rejuvenate his career as well. I,
yeah.
it's just if they want to do that, I
Right.
doubt
The
it.
Nets are sort of the
The Nets are
clear
bad.
last place
Yeah,
team to me right now.
I'd have it the same
But
way.
and yeah, like Valanciunas, that was like such a weird signing to me. I would
Yes,
not
it
be
was.
shocked if he's traded to a contender. Maybe that's a guy the Pistons are interested in at the deadline, honestly.
I
Depending
wouldn't hate
on
it.
yeah, depending on what shakes out in the with the center position, but um yeah, I mean, you never know. Like things go terribly wrong or a lot better than you expect with most of these teams. So, I mean, I think this is the clear bottom group, like one outside of the 1 through 8 playoff teams, but you never know what can happen from there. Like even the Hawks, we don't know what they're doing. Like,
Hmm.
are they gonna decide to try and trade Trey at some point and build around Jalen Johnson, and you added Zachary Risachet with the number 1 pick? We don't know. A lot of weird stuff can happen.
Well, and I mean, there are a couple of kind of underrated rosters, I guess. The Bulls, if they can stay healthy, Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Zach Levine, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic is a solid starting five.
I also like Buzelis. Like I think he could play
Yeah.
a real
And
role
Io's
there.
nice as a backup point. They got Chris Duarte, who's, I mean, not spectacular, but he's been solid for a while now. Um, I mean, like it kind of hinges on Zach Levine and his health, and same a bit with Nikola Vucevic. But there are the bones of a halfway decent roster in there. I would hesitate, assuming health, to put them behind Detroit at this
Hmm.
point. And the Raptors and the Hawks, like you talked about, as long as they don't send it in for Cooper Flag and Ace Bailey and whoever else is in this draft, I mean, Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, Grady Dick, Davion Mitchell, who was a guy we talked about a little bit earlier as a potential
Hmm.
Pistons offseason target, and he's on the Raptors. That's a really good fit. Quickly, Olynyk, Jakob Poeltl. I mean, it's a solid team with two potential all stars, excuse me, in Scotty Barnes and R.J. Barrett. And then, of course, the Hawks are still similarly deep as they were last year. They just got to add Risa Shea.
Yeah, and the Bulls paid Patrick Williams, so like this could be the
Yes,
year
they
that
did.
he finally, not finally. I know he had some health issues too, but he could take a leap too. And I don't think they'll be good by any means, but I think they could very well be in that 9 to 10 spot for the play-in, like they have been over the past few seasons.
Yeah. So for me, looking at this power rating right now, we've not seen any basketball, and that will obviously change a lot once we actually start watching how Bickerstaff is going to use this team. Has Asar Thompson actually put on more strength? Can Jaden Ivey become a more efficient scorer? There's all sorts of stuff that we don't know right now, and that will absolutely change how this type of ranking is going to shake out. But as it stands right now, I think the most interesting trio is the Pistons, Hornets, and Wizards. They're all kind of right there above the Nets, but below the rest fighting for 12 through 14. And if the Pistons could come out on the top of that, the way things stand right now, like you said, finish 12th, that's a solid record. I don't know if that's 30 wins, but you're approaching at that point. Uh, that'd be a win. That'd be a win. As sad as that is to say, that would be a win. That would be a step forward. That's a 10-game improvement, more even, 14 almost.
Yeah, and what it's gonna come down to for me is like you got to beat those teams at the end of the day. Like how many wins
Right, right.
over the past few years have we circled on the calendar thinking it's a winnable game, and then I mean, injuries happen, obviously, and weird stuff goes on, but yeah, if the Pistons can consistently beat like the Chicago's, Charlotte's, Brooklyn's, and Washington's of the world consistently, like that'll allow them to win out of that group. We've seen the Pistons win games we didn't think they were supposed to, and they finally have a better roster that's more complementary than they have over recent years. So maybe that does really make a difference and allow them to at least be in the range to look to that play-in spot at the end of the day. I mean, I don't think it's likely, honestly, but I think falling like right outside of it is realistic.
Yeah, I completely agree. And another thing, I guess, just as we're on this topic of looking forward to next year and kind of groups of teams to watch to test the Pistons' progress against. I know it's going to be a lot to ask because the Pistons are very clearly the worst team in the Central Division. So I'm not talking about competitive as in winning a lot of games, but you will be playing as the Detroit Pistons a lot of games against the Bucks, the Cavs, the Pacers, and the Bulls. And if you can be competitive, insofar as that those are close games, hard fought games, not walkover games for those top teams. You give the Bulls a couple of scares, maybe take two, split with them. If you can scare the Pacers on opening night, things like that, it will go a long way, not only to, I think, help build the team up, but also with how young this roster is, build that confidence back up again after the season that they just had last year. So I think that's, as much as I'm also watching that trio that we just talked about with the Pistons, the Wizards, and the Hornets, I'm also really intrigued to see how the Central Division shakes out, but also how the Pistons play against them. Can they
Yeah.
hang in there and not be blown out for every last one of those games?
Right. And people are lower on Milwaukee. Like, I don't know if I necessarily buy into that, but if you can compete with them as well, like they had some competitive games last year, even. So,
They got two Hall of Famers on their roster. If you can compete with them, that's a win.
yeah, 100%. But the East is good. We saw teams like the
Mm-hmm.
Knicks and Indiana take steps. We know Boston is the team to beat and everything. So they're going to have a lot of tests, but just if you can beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, which is not going to happen every time, obviously. It's a long season, injuries happen and everything, but if you can take the games that you're supposed to take, that will really like help this team both in the standings as well as in the locker room moving forward.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Shorter show this week, but there's just not as much going on in the NBA. So we appreciate all you guys for tuning in live and also for listening on podcast as well. So as I sip my hot coffee over here, Blake, I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend and you can take it away, man.
You too, and hey, I will. I'll have my cold brew in the morning, and maybe I'll have one for the show one of these weeks, just to show you how much I'm enjoying it. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and reminder, you can call our phone line to ask a question, hear your voice on the show. The number for that is 313-355-2717. And special thank you to Sean Court, the managing editor of Detroit Bad Boys, for supporting the show. Shout out to you guys for the great questions and talking points tonight. We hope you all have a great Labor Day weekend. We'll catch you next week, whether on your commute or live with us on YouTube. We can't wait to talk more Detroit basketball with you.